Hi, this is SS Wilson, and as I promised on the last video, this one is about the first time we shot the full-size graboid with the main unit, cast, and cameras. Here's some of main unit's equipment outside of Chang's Market. Now, when you shoot a big special effect on a movie, the word tends to get out. And even on our little movie, even way out in the middle of the desert where we were, the word got out and people started showing up. There was friends and family and studio people. All these years later, I can't tell you who these people are, but they knew who I was.
Hi, Steve.
Hello. It's going to be like 8 million.
Now, of course, my partner and I were there, and here you can hear me describing what I hope is about to happen.
It's Thursday, we're waiting for the creature to come to town, we're setting up for the shot where people walk out. The creature's not yet into the ground, people walk out and come up and see Melvin. Up this pole.
Now, even without visitors, there's always a lot of chaos on a movie set, and it's a good time to introduce the person in charge of that chaos. This is Mike Topouzian in the blue shirt, our assistant director. And once again, we were so lucky to get someone so good at his job. And by the way, an assistant director's job is not to go get coffee for the director. He or she is responsible for scheduling the movie, literally figuring out the most efficient order in which to shoot all the scenes. And then, on set, the AD is responsible for coordinating all the departments working and trying to keep everybody on that schedule. It would be fair to say that a movie would never get done without the AD subtly pushing to keep everyone moving, as Mike is doing here.
Okay. Set? Can we shoot?
Yeah.
We love it?
Yeah.
Can we shoot some
There were
cinema?
3 shirts, dude. That's why I wear them. Yeah.
Here we go. This is for picture.
Admittedly, the crew doesn't always obey the first
Here
time,
we go.
or the second,
Here we go for cinema.
but eventually we did shoot the shot.
Roll sound. We're rolling. Mark.
Now, to be honest, this is not the shot you're waiting for. We had decided to shoot some close-ups of the actors first, so we didn't need the graboid in the shot. That chrome tube on the left is a dust gun standing in for the monster.
No one get.
Yes, it's the glamour of filmmaking.
We're cut.
Now, we shot the same thing again, but I'm leaving almost all of this in because, well, first of all, you're Tremors fans, but also because at the end of this take, you can hear Mike editorialize about it, subtly encouraging director Ron Underwood to approve the take and move on.
Cut? We're cut. What a beauty.
And we did move on. It was time to uncover the graboid pit. Here's a brief look at Ron Underwood, director, as the crew lugs in the star for his first time on camera. The co-founder of the Creature Effects Company, Alec Gillis, was of course on set today. That's him in the orange shirt discussing the shot with Ron. His partner, Tom Woodruff, is already inside the graboid. Now, because the graboid was going to be down inside the elevator, they couldn't use their cable controls to open the beak. So Tom was going to have to kind of shake it open.
Okay, you stepped away. All right, Tom.
So he had to rehearse that a few times.
Here's Alexander to the set, please. Okay, we'll close it up.
If you've seen the previous video, you'll notice some refinements to the graboid pit, like this flexible rubber that kind of looks like dirt. But to move on, this is not an injured crew member. This is actor Robert Jane, who played Melvin in the movie, made up for his part in the scene. But as he was looking on at the preparations, a strange thing was happening. For some reason, we had decided that the light pole he climbs later in the scene was in the wrong place, and we moved it. I don't remember why, and director Ron Underwood doesn't remember why. All we can think all these years later is that with the graboid in place, it was blocking where we wanted the camera, or it was blocking something else we wanted to see. Anyway, we moved it. So here's the crew doing their imitation of that famous World War II flag-raising shot. Meanwhile, the graboid was in makeup. Now, nothing helps rubber look better on camera than being wet, but Alec and his team were using a substance to get that look that most of us on set had never seen before.
Protein. Yeah. Let's, Mitch, actually get us another handful of slime. Metasaur slime. No, ultra slime. Okay.
It's actually called Ultra Slime.
And in all your favorite colors.
Even AD Mike DePuzian was fascinated.
They get it by the bucket.
Really? Do you know how many things you can cook with just a bottle of Ultra Slime and some Ritz crackers?
But he didn't let it distract him for long.
All right, how much more milky slime are we going to do here, guys?
So they hurried up the sliming. Now check out the new improved lid for the graboid pit. It's made of painted, textured styrofoam with a sturdy plywood ring. Of course, it still has a hole in it for the beak. Now Mike is monitoring constantly because he wants to be sure the actors are ready when we are.
Let's keep our thespians close here. Keep them close. We're getting
He's making constant reports over his radio. Well, you can see that the edges of this graboid lid are not going anywhere. Keep in mind, by the way, that Tom Woodruff has been inside the graboid all this time. We're technically burying him alive. I don't think he's a claustrophobic. They'd come up with some refinements, too. That's pieces of dark cork they're breaking off. It looks just like rocks. Then, of course, it was time to bring in our vermiculite, but as they were spreading it, they decided to test our dust tube ring one more time.
Watch the dust level.
Are you ready?
Dusting.
Does it have to come out just from that one side?
Yes, it was a little lopsided. So as part of the team went off to deal with that, the remainder put the finishing touches on the graboid lid.
Give me a couple of rocks over there, bigger rocks.
And believe it or not, we brought in the cast and we were actually ready to go. Now, I'm going to shut up here and let this whole take just run. It is, after all, the only record of our first graboid shot. I put in a few subtitles where I'm fairly sure what people are saying.
Yeah.
You guys on the ground?
Actually, he's taking it. Is this, are we rehearsing this?
Exactly. Elevator. Tom is
Larry, it's changed
Tom?
to action. They look at one another. I say leap.
The use.
Yeah, well, it's better for me from this side.
Action.
Roll down.
Where's Milton again?
Hey, camera
Camera
mark.
right up.
Hey, Mark.
Right over here.
Camera
right
right,
over here.
camera right.
This side. Melvin's over here, up here.
Up there. We're ready to go.
Ready? And action.
Action.
Leap.
Lead.
We're cut.
Cut.
Okay. Should reset to go again.
Yeah. Very obscured right now.
That was pretty good. Pretty good.
Now, Ron is saying pretty good, but in fact, the graboid had come up late, and it had come up very slowly. We were hoping on the next take that it would come up much faster. But our next problem was that the graboid elevator would not go back down. Pretty soon they decided they were going to have to take the graboid off to figure out why.
Craig. We need to pull this entire one off.
So they dragged Tom out from inside and set to work removing the graboid.
Good. What are you doing? Oh!
Stop. What's going on, Jeff?
Lean it back towards the screen. Okay.
Are we off? Okay, and down.
Pressure up, Andy.
He's a good boy.
Everything had to come off the platform, including Tom's respirator and audio gear and so forth.
We'll blow these things out. That's where it's jammed in there right now.
So what they found was that the guide rails the elevator rode on were jammed with debris and the air pressure could not overcome it. But they got them cleared and Tom went back inside and we desperately tried to get ready for another take. But even after all that, the elevator still wasn't behaving well.
Wait a minute.
If you think this is taking a long time now, imagine what it was like with the whole cast and crew waiting. Anyway, the elevator did finally go down. Now they still had to put on the lid and do all the elaborate covering of it, but then we were finally ready for take 2.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
Ironically, you can see a third pre-made lid being carried past in the background in case we wanted to do a third take. Right in front here is Alec on his radio. He's keeping Tom updated since Tom can't hear anything down in the graboid pit.
Action!
Oh, shut up the
We're cut!
You can hear some half-hearted applause there, but the truth is we were disappointed. The graboid had come up very slowly, and worse, a huge chunk of styrofoam had stuck to it on the way up, pretty much ruining the take. But this had all taken way longer than we had hoped, and we were a low-budget movie. We were flat out of time. We had to move on. There wasn't going to be a take 3. So, in the end, we had to use take 2 in the movie. The timing on take 1 was even worse. That said, we could only use the part that was good, exactly this much. About 1.5 seconds. You'll see if you watch the scene in the movie that we added a lot of shots around it that pretty much make it work. Meanwhile, that air-powered graboid mover continued to give us trouble. You'll see in the next video a time when it failed almost completely.